Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Healing is War. My name is Elmira. I am your host. On this podcast, we explore the shadows of starting and continuing your healing or spiritual journey because there's going to be some things you face. This podcast is designed to be a class, an instructional lesson to assist you. Today's topic: everything looked perfect. The truth about emotional neglect. I know this topic personally. However, I wanted to give you a psychological take. Plus, how does this show up and what can you do about it? Because again, this is a class. This is not just bashing the past or saying my parents did this or I experienced this. This is more, how can you address it? How can you address it within yourself? How can you address it if you see it showing up in a child in your life? Here we go. We want to start out here. First of all, what is emotional neglect? And I pull this straight from psychologists. A relationship pattern defined by a consistent failure to acknowledge, validate, or respond to someone's emotional needs. Unlike overt emotional abuse, which involves harmful actions, emotional neglect is an act of omission, the painful absence of empathy, connection, and psychological support when it is expected and necessary. Let me give you some real life experience because how this showed up in my household for me. I can only speak for myself. My siblings may say something different. I witnessed the silent treatment in my house. That's emotional neglect. Not being willing to speak about our feelings or speak about, okay, grandma just died. Why are we not discussing it? Or why is my older brother not well? We just not going to talk about it for months, years on end. That's emotional neglect. Feeling not validated. I felt that growing up. And because I'm highly empathetic, I didn't always have language for this as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old. It showed up. And I'm going to go into this, what the psychologists say too, the mental health therapists. Mine showed up as obsessive cleaning. And I know this, these memories I blocked out, but my cousins brought light to this. And one of them brought light to this recently. They said, Maria, and they call me by my middle name, just so you know. Yeah, every time we came to the house, you were cleaning. I didn't know that was a trauma response, but it was. I was trying to clean up the mess. I was seeking approval in another way because my emotional needs were not being met. I don't remember a time when I was asked, how do you feel? How are you doing with that? Let me address your emotions. I've even, just to give you some examples, because I tutor, I teach. So my students are young adults. I've heard this from students, parents telling them, your emotions don't matter. Shut up. And sometimes this is a generational thing. Put this on the TikTok yesterday. It's a generational thing where the silent generation and the boomer generation, and sometimes Generation X, has been taught to ignore the emotion. Just get on. You got to get to work. We don't have no time for this. We don't have no time for your tears. We don't have no time for your grief. We don't even have no time for your celebration. What you talking about? We can't do no emotions over here. We got to go to church, and even at church, you can't even emote. You supposed to follow the book, the good book. Okay, that's what it is. So that puts it in black and white so you can understand what emotional neglect is when you hear this. Number two, how does it show up in children? I already mentioned one of the ways it showed up in me was cleaning. I was cleaning all the time. Number one, your child may have no or low self esteem or a lot of self doubt. Let me give you an example. Let's say your child plays soccer, or you notice a child, because remember, this is a class. This is for you. You looking out for children. You notice every time the child is on the soccer field, they don't have confidence in their kick. They don't ever have confidence. You know how children are. It takes them a while to warm up to a sport or whatever. But if you notice, A child is always doubting themselves with their schoolwork, with their clothing, with the sport. That's how it shows up. Another way it shows up is they have flat or restricted affect. That means they don't show any emotion. It's like no highs, no low. It's just monotone. I'm doing okay. That's flat. Number three, they're throwing temper tantrums or outbursts of anger. Why is your 7-year old, why is your 13-year-old always angry? And sometimes children, this may be a part of their development, but pay attention. If it's something that's continuous, this could be a sign of emotional neglect. Number four, isolation. And this could be, we got to be clear about this now in identifying this, because now we're in a social media age where the children may be in isolation because they're on their TikTok or they're on their phone or they're on their computer, they're conversing with their friends in that way via the game. Pay attention, parents, pay attention, adults. Is your child isolating from their siblings? And it's not a personality thing where the child is more comfortable being alone. They're more introverted. Pay attention. This could be a sign of emotional neglect. You might be running a summer camp and you notice some of the children at the summer camp this summer don't like to hang out. Give them a hug. Ask that child how they are doing. Number five, people pleasing. OMG, this was one of mine. As a teenager, as a 20 something, I really got hip to the game probably after I moved to Nashville. But I used to people please all the time. I would talk to people at night for longer than I wanted, later than I wanted. I would not, I had no boundaries. Nobody demonstrated boundaries to me. That's emotional neglect. When you have not been shown boundaries or know what, because boundaries are not to block people out. They are to safeguard your person, your emotions, your energy. Nobody showed me that. So I just please, if somebody said, if a guy I was dating said, Elmira, and I'm giving you a prime example, Elmira, and it would be 9 p.m. I want you to come over our house and cook us food. I did that as like a 23, 24-year old. I put on a skirt because I wanted to look cute. I wanted to look sexy. And I went over there and cooked this guy and his roommate some food. People pleasing. I ain't had to go over there, but I wanted to please them. Wanting to please the man, wanting to please the pastor, wanting to please my parents, wanting to please my friends. Like this is, stop overextending yourself if you know you don't have the energy to do it, because this will start showing up in childhood. They want to make the adults happy. I saw it played out. We watched this movie last week called Mommy Dearest. It's an old movie. If you have not seen it, there's a scene in there where the little girl Christina is pleasing her mom. Like she even went so far to make a drink. She went behind the bar. She could have been no more than 10, 8, 9, or 10. Why is that 8, 9, 10-year old behind the bar making an alcoholic beverage for her mama's boyfriend? Number six, your child may have stomach aches, headaches, chronic fatigue, no physical energy. I know somebody like this. One of my students is like this, no physical energy. We were working on that. Number seven, academic or developmental delays. Teachers, pay attention. Do you notice a shift in one of your students? They weren't acting like this earlier in the year. This could be a sign of emotional neglect. Their grades all of a sudden dropped. Number eight, acting up in order to get attention. So as a teenager, it's not the normal, oh, I want to test the waters. I want to have a drink. I want to go out and party. I want to, what? Sneak out of the house. No, this is, your child may always be acting up. That's emotional neglect because they're trying to get the attention of the adults because they're not getting their emotional, psychological needs attended to. So they're like, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to get mad. I'm gonna I'm gonna steal, I'm gonna shoplift, I'm gonna have sex with boys even though I don't want to. I'm gonna have sex with girls even though I don't want to. I'm going to act out. I'm gonna act out at school. I'm gonna act out at church. I'm gonna act out at the store. I'm going to act out. Number nine, hoarding. This may be hoarding food, hoarding toys, other items. Thumb sucking is attached to this too. Is your child beyond the age of thumb sucking, but they're still sucking their thumb? Or it shows up, they're sucking their thumb. They suck their thumb when they get nervous or they feel certain things because they're trying to soothe themselves. That's a sign of emotional neglect in your child. And the final sign of emotional neglect you might see in children is not asking an adult for help or acting mature for their age. I learned this word from some of my mental health counselors is parentification. So the child is acting like the parents. They don't want to ask for help because they're like, I don't need to ask for help. I am the parent. I'm 6 years old and I'm cooking for myself. Not because they want to be a chef. They have to. Their parents made them cook. Emotional neglect. Not asking an adult for help. If they know, hey, I can't reach that thing, they're afraid to ask for assistance. They don't even want to ask for help in the classroom. Watch out for these things. I also wanted to point out because you may be just discovering this topic because everything looked perfect to your family. Y'all look good at church. Y'all was wearing the right clothes. You look good on paper. Everybody was having good grades. That was my family. But there was stuff going on behind the scenes. I felt emotional neglected. Again, I knew this as a child, but I didn't have the words, I didn't have the language for it until I started my healing journey. And just these past couple of weeks, some memories started resurfacing. I'm like, wait a minute, that happened? Oh, yeah, that happened. Sure did. Into adulthood, these are four signs and symbols. Number one, you have difficulty identifying your emotions. This happened to me. You should be able to distinguish. There are like 50 to 100 different emotions. You should not always be, to use a word from before, flat. I'm good. I'm fine. No, you have emotions. Your emotions are valid. Say, I'm feeling sad today. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling disturbed. I'm feeling joyful. I'm feeling enriched. Give words, language to your individual emotions. Emotions are like a rainbow. They're a gradient. You're not just a one-trick pony. So if you have difficulty expressing your emotions in your relationships, at your job, in your business, this is how it shows up. I'm so thankful for massage therapy because it's one of the things that helped me get in touch with my emotions. I didn't have that growing up, but I had to learn it. Number two, chronic emptiness as an adult. You always feel empty. You're searching for something. You're like, I'm bored, but I don't know what's going to fill it. I don't know what's going to fill the void. Maybe it's a man that's going to fill the void. Maybe if I eat enough food, it'll fill the void. Maybe if I go on enough trips, it'll fill the void. Maybe if I buy enough handbags, enough shoes, enough whatever, courses, classes. You have an emptiness. It's chronic. It's not something that lasts because somebody in your family died. It's what chronic means, it's everlasting. It goes on for months, years. You can't seem to fix it. Number three, hyper independence. That was me because that's what I was shown. If your needs are not being met, you got to depend on yourself. That was me. Even when I moved to Nashville, I got it on my own. I was like, I'm going to get my lease for my to live. I'm going to get my lease for my massage business. Ain't nobody going to help me. And this is the some let me speak to this cuz this is some of the stuff that the black community teaches. I got to get on us cuz parents will teach this to their daughters especially. And I know why they do but it doesn't help because it teaches us not to depend on anybody or not to ask for help. Here's the statement: never depend on a man. A man ain't never gonna help you, because that's coming from the trauma of, I split up with my husband, or it didn't work out between me and your dad, or I didn't have no help. My parents didn't help me, so why you think you gonna get help? Like, it's so many things going in the background in these statements, but it creates hyper independence. And you wait. This is what happened to me. I waited too long to ask for help. When I knew I could, if I asked for help financially, emotionally, spiritually before, it would have been better. That's why healing is war. I learned the lesson. I learned the lesson over the years and I fixed it. You can too. Pay attention. Are you hyper independent? You won't ask nobody for nothing. Stop it. Why do you do that? Start journaling. Maybe you've already discussed it with a counselor or another health professional. It's good that you're working on it. Number 4, you have harsh self criticism. I used to have this years ago too, thinking my legs don't look like this, or I hate my hair, or whatever. But then I learned to love myself. That's why I'm so big on, I'm a love wisdom guide. I teach you self-love because that's how you create more love anyway. But when you're a critic of yourself, you're not going to show up. You're not going to show up in a relationship, like a romantic relationship. You're not going to show up as yourself as your job. My gosh, if you're starting a business, you're not going to show up as your best self. How are you going to sell your product or service? That's one reason I had to get over all of this stuff. Because how was I going to be so critical of myself, judging my massage skills, judging my speaking skills, judging my singing skills? Stop criticizing yourself. Okay, next, let's discuss, how do you gain stability with all of this? Now, knowing what the psychology says, how do you gain stability? One of the ways is to practice self-soothing, self-care. What does that look like? Giving yourself a hug. What does that look like? Looking in the mirror saying, "You are so beautiful. You are so handsome." Acknowledging your emotions, writing them down. I feel I feel wretched today. I feel uncertain today. Say it. Give truth to power. Soothe yourself. Give yourself a massage. Go get a massage. Treat yourself to a massage. Why do you distance yourself from a massage? Or you only get it when somebody gifts it to you. Treat yourself to, and it's not even a treat. It's you recovering from what you didn't receive, because sometimes you got to reframe, reactivate your body. Because, yeah, everything looked perfect, but you knew what was going on in the house was emotional neglect. You like, this ain't it. Number 2, get therapy. Learn to express your emotions. I said that earlier. There's so many therapists out there now. You can get in group therapy. You can find a therapist online. You can find a therapist in person. And there's not a one trick pony on that either. Because your therapy may look like somatic healing. Your therapy may look like yoga, because yoga is helping you to recover. Learn what works best for you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, you need to do that, 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 that. Find your own rhythm. Find your own routine. That's part of the self-discovery progress. We are gone of the age of somebody top down, a doctor telling you, you need to do this, a healthcare practitioner telling you, you need to do this. Feel it in your body. That's part of overcoming the emotional neglect, overcoming the secrecy of what you dealt with in your upbringing, is discussing it, confronting it, overcoming it. You may have to distance yourself from your abusers. You might have to go no contact for a while with your family or with whoever neglected you, whoever did the abuse, so you can figure it out. So you have space to heal. You have space to restore your mind, your body, and your spirit. That's how you get stability. Stop. You going to keep re-injuring yourself if you keep going back to the situation that was toxic. And this is toxicity. People will say, "Oh no, I want that toxic." How toxicity works is it's a gradient. Everything is not 100% toxic where you was getting beat like in the movie Precious. Everybody, when they think about abuse or any type of traumatic event, they think of that. Oh, you wasn't getting beat. There weren't no drugs. You wouldn't get slapped around every day, so it wasn't abuse. That's a lie. Because it could have been on the 37%. It still affected the child. It's still affecting you into adulthood. So you may have to distance yourself from these people. Only talk to them for a certain amount of time. Figure out what works for you and work on that with your counselor, with your therapist, with whoever you're seeing. Come up with a game plan that works for you. You know what needs to be done. I tell everybody this: trust your intuition. If your intuition is saying, I need a break, I need a break from my family, I need a break from this person. My auntie is the one who just really just grinds my gears. She keeps triggering me every time I go home. Why are you talking to your auntie? Only see your auntie once a year or whatever it is. You know you got to see her on Christmas. You figure it out. The last thing to gain stability is to understand your soul mission. This is what helped me. When I know that my vision is to heal the entire world with hearts and hands, when I'm approaching every situation with that, I can alchemize my emotional neglect. I have alchemized my emotional neglect into something extra special. That's why we're here on this podcast. That's why I can speak boldly, because now I understand my emotions. I understand my heart. I understand that the heart is the place that manifests, that creates wealth. That's very healing to me. And that's why I had to cut some ties, some cords from my family, from my mother, from my father. They were affecting my ability to achieve a certain level of wealth. This is what I've discovered recently. Because I was holding on to what they said or didn't say. This is about emotional neglect. They never approved of me, so how was I going to think I'm worthy to be a millionaire? I had to start approving of myself because I know that's my soul mission. That's the contract I made. What contract did you make? We know we contracted to come into these families that are toxic because we are supposed to be the light. You are the light. It may be termed as the scapegoat. You were termed as the black sheep, but no, you are the light because you're there to show them another way. Some members of your family are not empathetic. They are never going to be empathetic. They are never going to see other people for who they are. They just can't do it. They don't have the capacity. You might be a young soul and they're here to learn. Maybe that's what they're here to learn in this lifetime is empathy. So you can't down them. Just know you were put in that family for a reason. That's one thing I understood about myself. I was put in my family for a reason. It may hurt, and it does hurt. It has hurt many times, still hurts. Because when you speak the truth, people are saying, oh, that never happened, or that's not the way it is, or da 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 da, because they want to be so comfortable in seeing things another way. They want to be so comfortable in ignoring the problem, ignoring the system, ignoring what the pastor did at the church, ignoring what the daddy did, ignoring the sexual abuse, ignoring the verbal abuse, ignoring the emotional neglect. They just want to be ignorant. Let them be ignorant. Fulfill your soul mission. That's what you got to do. That's what you are here to do. I want to make some other points because yesterday I listened to this podcast. It was Dr. Joshua Coleman. He was on the art of manliness, and the topic was, and I'll put it below here too. What's behind the rise of parent-child uh, sh- uh, sh- it, estrangement is the word. A lot is behind it. He mentioned, because he's a psychologist, he's been a psychologist for 40 years, so he studied this. He's seen actual patients, both parents and children. Divorce is a starting point for estrangement, so look into this. Did your emotional neglect begin when your parents split up? That was the case for me. Part of it, some of it. Lack of pure relationships. People are not having authentic relationships. They're just having, and we discussed this the other week, they're having relationships out of obligation, not out of true love. Since the 1960s, children have become more front and center. If you look at previous generations, let's say 1930s, 40s, 50s, children were just told to shut up, get to the back. We don't need to hear you. Children are seen and not heard. Since then, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020s, and beyond, children have become more of the focus. So we're seeing more of this stuff come to light. It's not that it didn't exist before, it's that we're paying attention to it. We're paying attention to health holistically. Health is not just the physical, it's mind, body, and spirit. So if your child's body is taken care of, but their spiritual needs or their emotional needs or their mental needs are not tended to, that's not a healthy child. You just got a child that's fed, clothed, and got a place to sleep. That's basic. Like, we don't live in basic times anymore. That would be great if we lived in caveman times, but we don't live in caveman times. He also says that when it comes to estrangement or when we're looking at issues like this, both the parent and the child have an obligation to fix it. We got to respect boundaries. Because he mentioned, according to the research and his own experience, boundaries is the top reason for children, adult children, going no contact. Because the parents think they have 100% access in the time of what? Cell phones. Oh, I can call them anytime I want. I can show up anytime I want. I can check on their Facebook anytime I want. I can check on their TikTok anytime I want. And this is vice versa. It can go both ways. We got to give that up. You should not feel like you have 100% control or access to anyone in your life, even if you live with them. I'm just telling you that from my own healing perspective. We think just because they're my husband or my wife, I should have 100% access to them. Let them be their human being. What else did I write down? Because I want to give you some other resources. This is from another practitioner, Lisa Romano. She's a counselor. She talks about codependency. She said what shows up in these instances of emotional neglect is there's a toxic family system, and it may seem like emotional neglect is not toxic. It is toxic. If everybody's walking around and nobody's saying how they really feel, they're thinking it, but we're all hiding it. And it shows up as a diagnosis. It shows up as lupus. It shows up as epilepsy. It shows up as fibromyalgia. It shows up as eczema. It shows up as back pain. It shows up as sleeplessness. I can go on and on and on. The system is broken. Playing dumb. People will play dumb. It's rooted in denial. Oh, that never happened. Oh, that beating never happened. Or, oh, the person never said this. Stop covering up stuff. That's denying the emotions. That's denying the situation. Oh, she just said something too. This is Lisa Romano. She's got an excellent book. I'll put the link down below here. With your health, You can't hold the weight of the lie. So that's what ends up happening. There's an emotional weight on you because you're trying to hold on to your family secret. You're trying to hold on to the lie of, we got to look pretty to go to church. We got to look pretty to go to school. But you try to hold on to it and then you gain weight. You try to hold on to it, you get a fibroid. You try to hold on to it, you get a hernia. You try to hold on to it, your hair keeps falling out. You try to hold on to it, you got to start wearing glasses. I'm speaking to myself. The primary reason I started wearing glasses because I didn't want to see the shit in my house. I distinctly remember this. I made myself blind. Because even after I got my glasses in sixth grade, when my sixth grade teacher bought me the glasses, I would take the glasses off at home. I'd wear them at school, but I didn't want to see out the house. I would take my glasses off because I didn't want to see it. So pay attention to your child. Pay attention to even you. Why do you wear glasses? Because it could be something, some traumatic from your childhood. All right. Why else does this matter? We talked about what the psychology says, how it shows up in children, how the emotional neglect shows up in adults. Dr. Joshua Coleman, I mentioned Lisa Romano. Another great person to check out on YouTube is Tamara Hill. She has a channel where she talks about this and she does group sessions on Thursdays, Saturdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. I just discovered her a couple of weeks ago. Get in a community. This is going to be my final point. Why does all of this matter? Because it might be like, why are we delving into the past? Because it matters in your relationships right now. It could be showing up in your current marriage, your current dating. You can't date or you can't find the date. You can't keep a date. You can't keep a woman. You can't keep a man. It stems back to your emotional neglect because you keep abandoning yourself the same way you were abandoned as a child. Let me say that again. You keep abandoning yourself by not soothing yourself, not acknowledging your emotions, not being available to yourself emotionally. So how do you expect yourself to meet an emotionally available person if you're not even available to yourself? Pause and think on that. This was me because of what I was taught or not taught. I had to learn to navigate relationships. I had to learn to not give my boyfriend the silent treatment. My first boyfriend, I distinctly remember this. I used to give him the silent treatment because that's what happened in my house. And that's probably one of the reasons we broke up. We multiple reasons, but I distinctly remember doing that. That was not right. That was not healthy. How was I going around the house? Oh, I'm just not going to speak to him for 2 days on end, 3 days on end, just because I'm mad at him. No, you discuss the problem. This could be you. Are you the silent treatment chick, the silent treatment guy? Stop it. Know where the root is. Understand it's affecting your relationships, not just your romantic relationship. You could be not getting a promotion because of an emotional neglect. Because you always trying to seek approval from the outside. This also shows up in your relationship with money. Let me say that again because this is what I've been seeing recently with myself. I set these high goals and I'm like, why can't I meet the goals? The goals are because I was attaching myself to the toxicity of my upbringing. They said, you don't need that. You're not that special. You're not that great. You don't deserve to be acknowledged. Your gifts don't deserve to be paid 500, 1,000, 3,000, 10K, 20K. I know now that they do because I've done the work. I've done the healing work. But my relationship with money used to be shoddy. I'm still working on it. But I had to release that. And let me tell you one way this showed up. Last week, I took a 5-week wealth course, like an energetic 5-day challenge with Galara Vincent. Anybody, y'all need to check her out. And she teaches you how to get over these ancestral wounds, because that's what they are. The ancestors, sometimes it's in your blood, it's in your upbringing. They trying to hold you back, but you got to detach and say, that's not me. And because I did that 5 days last week, and I've been doing some other things too, I attracted a client last week. $550 dropped into my bank account like that. It's been a while since that happened, that amount in one swoop. I've had that plenty of times as a business owner. But because I had the blockages, and don't listen to people, because some people would be like, you don't really have blocks. I believe that to an extent. But sometimes your family and these wounds may be holding on to you energetically, and you don't know, because you want to be so close to your family. You want to be this identity. You don't want to leave your family behind. I'm speaking to myself. I was holding so tightly to them, but they were dragging me down like crabs in a barrel. And they weren't doing it intentionally. It's energetics. Because you think, I grew up with these people, I suppose I always do what they do. But if they the ones holding you back, why are you allowing yourself to be held back? Stop it. Just because somebody shares blood with you don't mean you need to go into the next chapter with them. It's affecting your relationship. God's source may want to present you with something even better, better friends, a soul family, but because you're holding so tightly to what used to be. This is a question I had to ask myself. Which relationships are serving me right now? And I'm going to use something that Dr. Tamara Hill said. She said, reciprocal relationships. Invite reciprocal relationships into your life. The ones who are asking you, how are you doing? The ones who tend to your emotions. The ones who tend to how you're doing with your business, how you're doing with your career, how you're feeling on a daily basis. Stop just holding on to relationships because y'all got history. Oh, yeah, that's been my friend for 20 years. That's been my friend for 13 years. So what? Are they serving you right now? You might have to put them in another category. And it's okay, because everybody can't be with you right now. That don't mean you not going to go back and pick them up. You know, it's like a train. Train, plane, all of that. They always go back and pick up some passengers. Maybe you go back and pick them up when you're ready to pick them up. When you've done your healing. When you've gotten to a place where you're more stable and those triggers do not bother you. That's one thing I learned. It's one of the reasons I had to move away from home. I did not know this at the time, but now, yeah, I just knew to follow my intuition. My intuition said move away from home. I didn't know completely why I moved to Nashville. I did it. Now I'm down here in Georgia. I listen. Listen to your intuition. It's speaking to you. It's telling you what you need to do for your soul mission, for your soul, not for anybody else's. Because you may be that one who's unlike anybody else in your friend group, unlike anybody else in your family, and it's okay. March to the beat of your own drum, because you are the Michael Jackson. Let me say that again. You are the Michael Jackson of your family. What did we see in that movie? All of his siblings are talented, but who stood out? Who stood out the most? Michael. It was something extra special about him that served that time period and is still serving. We know what happened in that family. All the physical abuse, emotional abuse, I mean, everything. Matter of fact, and I told y'all on this show before, my dad wanted us to be the next Jackson 5. And he treated us like that. With a switch, with a whip, with a belt, both my parents. Discipline. Y'all all line, if something happened, one of us did something, we all got beat. Because it was like we all got to work as a unit, as a family. We all got the switch. We all got the belt. And then we all hugged after that. I do remember that as too. It was like we would hug at the end of the night and say, good night, good night, good night. That was something my dad had implemented. Yeah, it matters. All of this stuff matters because it's affecting your current relationships, your relationship with money, your relationship with colleagues, your romance, your friendships. You feel like you can't trust people. Do you trust yourself? You don't trust yourself because it stems back to the emotional neglect. Start building that self doubt into self trust. Here's one way to do it: start celebrating your wins. You know you did something, stop saying, oh, that was small. I helped two extra clients this week. No, that's big. That helps you trust yourself more. So now you can trust other people in relationships. Stop saying I have trust issues. You do have trust issues because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your judgment. You don't trust your intuition because you were taught not to do that. You were shown not to trust that. You're supposed to only trust God. Give your thing over to somebody outside of you. Only trust your parents. Only trust the preacher. Only trust the teacher. Trust yourself. Go within. That's how you build relationships with friends, with colleagues, with neighbors, with clients, with people all over the world, with people, with even with your family. You can restore the relationships with your family too. But this is how it shows up. What is your soul work for today? Because you know I always go to soul work. I'm only going to give you one thing to do. Soothe yourself. Soothe a part of yourself. And this may be little you. You know, we're always talking about the inner child. Soothe that inner child this week, today. Soothe that part of yourself. What part of yourself that felt like I didn't get the attention on this? Give it to yourself. Let's say you've achieved something on your social media, or you've achieved something in your business, on your job. You got married even, and maybe the people you thought were going to celebrate you, your birthday. Celebrate yourself, soothe yourself. Go get that massage. What are you going to do? You come up with it. What do you feel is going to be soothing to you? What would be soothing to that part of you that was neglected? That is the soul work for today. Remember, your soul is calling you to greatness. Be a soldier. You are ready for war. This is actually the season finale for season 2 of Healing is War. We will be back in the fall for more. We will see you then. Goodbye.